I want to turn to the FBI. How many FBI agents or confidential informants actively participated in the events of January 6th?
Sir, I'm sure you can appreciate that I can't go into the specifics of sources and methods.
Did any FBI agents or confidential informants actively participate in the events of January 6th? Yes or no?
Sir, I can't answer that.
Did any FBI agents or confidential informants commit crimes of violence on January 6th?
I can't answer that, sir.
Did any FBI agents or FBI informants actively encourage and incite crimes of violence on January 6th?
Sir, I can't answer that.
Who is Ray Epps?
I'm aware of the individual, sir. I don't have the specific background to him.
Well, there are a lot of people who are understandably very concerned about Mr. Epps. On the night of January 5th, 2021, Epps wandered around the crowd that had gathered, and there's video out there of him chanting, "Tomorrow, we need to get into the Capitol, into the Capitol."
I'd like to say, because
Strange behavior, so
we
strange
need
that the
to
crowd
go
began chanting, "Fed,
We
fed,
need to go
fed,
in.
fed, fed."
to the Capitol.
The senator was Ray Epps of that.
Sir, I cannot answer that question.
The next day, on January 6th, Mr. Epps is seen whispering to a person, and 5 seconds later, 5 seconds after he's whispering to a person, that same person begins to forcibly tear down the barricades. Did Mr. Epps urge them to tear down the barricades?
Sir, similar to the other answers, I cannot answer that.
Shortly thereafter, the FBI put out a public post seeking information on individuals connected with violent crimes on January 6th.
FBI WFO is seeking the public's assistance in identifying those who made unlawful entry into the US Capitol building on January the 6th.
But now, Suspect 16 has been scrubbed from the FBI website. Now, if you take a look at the Wayback Machine from archive.org, you can see that from January 8th, 2021, all the way until June 30th, Suspect 16 was pretty clearly highlighted. But suddenly, on July 1st, he wasn't on the website any longer. Now, if he'd been arrested, he would still be on the website, just with arrested under his name, like others who have been apprehended. But he's not. He's just been scrubbed. This has prompted lawmakers to ask questions about whether or not there were FBI provocateurs who may have helped events on January 6th to go the way they did.
As far as we can find, this individual has not been charged with anything. Can you tell us, without talking about particular incidents or particular videos, how many agents or assets of the federal government were present on January 6th, whether they agitated to go into the Capitol, and if any of them did?
So I'm not going to violate this norm of the rule of law. I'm not going to comment on an investigation that's ongoing.
Among those individuals, in the bottom there, is Mr. Epps. The FBI publicly asked for information, offering cash rewards leading to information leading to the arrest. This was posted, and then, sometime later, magically, Mr. Epps disappeared from the public posting. According to public records, Mr. Epps has not been charged with anything. No one's explained why a person videoed urging people to go to the Capitol, a person whose conduct was so suspect the crowd believed he was a Fed, would magically disappear from the list of people the FBI was looking at. Ms. Sandburn, a lot of Americans are concerned that the federal government deliberately encouraged illegal and violent conduct on January 6th. My question to you, and this is not an ordinary law enforcement question, this is a question of public accountability. Did federal agents or those in service of federal agent actively encourage violent and criminal conduct on January 6th?
Not to my knowledge, sir.
The FBI had at least one informant on the ground with whom it was communicating during the protest of January 6th. So all these questions, like how many FBI informants were in these groups and how many FBI informants or agents were on the ground participating in January 6th, are things the committee refuses to tell us, even though the questions are urgent, given what little we have been able to ascertain for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly why the Ray Epps thing is a really easy, shiny object that can distract from these broader problems, because it gets into exactly what you were talking about, Glenn. There's so many other questions here, and it allows the committee to just sort of say, look, asked and answered, another silly conspiracy theory debunked.
The exact replica of the model that was used in the first war on terror that they claimed to be so upset by at the time versus what they're now doing on domestic soil. The parallel is so clear that the legislation Adam Schiff has been pushing for 3 years now to change the domestic laws so that the second war on terror can be fought more aggressively does nothing but take the entire set of legislative authorities that were used in the first war on terror and just amend them to say not just foreign terrorist organizations, but also domestic terrorist organizations, to essentially implant en masse the first war on terror that was primarily aimed at foreign terrorist organizations and allow it to be used against domestic terrorist organizations. And among the worst abuses of the war on terror was that they would target young, vulnerable Muslim kids, vulnerable because they had like emotional problems or financial problems, and they would catch some Muslim in some unrelated crime, like a financial crime, and they would say, you're going to go to federal prison for 15 years unless you act as our informant. We want you to go infiltrate this mosque and try and lure people into plots that we design. And they would like offer these kids who are from poor families lots of money to join these plots or manipulate them emotionally to do so. And then they would do so, and the FBI would swoop in at the last minute and announce in a press release congratulating itself for having saved us all from the plot that the FBI itself actually concocted. And then everybody would applaud and they'd give more money to the FBI. So of course they're using the same tactics. Of course they have infiltrators and informants and agents in all of these groups, but nobody seems interested, at least nobody who can find out to what extent that played a role in January 6th.